Hello everyone and welcome. In this video we'll be talking about Amazon's popular satirical superhero television show developed by Eric Kripke, The Boys. Now, the ending of The Boys was okay, which is bad, since the show alluded to way more, especially since season 1 was so good. It promised so much and came out during a time where superhero Marvel fatigue was hitting all-time highs. So you can imagine how refreshing it was to see something so anti-superhero actually being a satire on the genre as a whole. Everyone, myself included, was so excited after season 1 and wanted to see so much of this world and what it had to offer, and oh boy were we let down. Every subsequent season that followed dropped in quality. Now, not significantly, but enough to notice, and this was most notable in the writing. Now, I'm not going to talk about every individual season since the video would be longer than I care to make it, especially given my newfound disinterest in the subject matter at hand, so I will just go over the series finale and point out most of the ways in which it fell flat. Now, before moving on, however, and saying all that negative stuff, I must first and foremost give flowers and praise to some of the actors who did a great job even with the bad writing. First up, Jesse T. Usher as A-Train, an absolute unit. His ability to sound like such a selfish jerk in the first few seasons, only for him to have a meaningful redemption arc, was great. Good on him. Second is Dominique McElligott, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, as Queen Maeve. She had a meaningful redemption arc that was quicker than A-Train's, of course, in earlier seasons, but still a solid performance. All the times she drank, vaped, and made fun of Huey being a twink made me laugh out loud so much. I really hate Huey's character so much, and you're right, he is such a twink. Okay, after going over the cast, I realized the acting was much better than I realized in this show, and so I won't list the actors more in-depthly, but just list them as by name, and anyone who's listed, they did a really good job, and they did much more than I anticipated, and the list is as follows. Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy, Chance Crawford as The Peak. No, I'm kidding, I mean The Deep. Every time I say The Deep, I have to say it like that, I'm sorry. Colby Manifi, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, as Ashley Barrett. Elizabeth Shue as Madeline Stillwell, which, let's face it, she was not Stillwell after season 1. Giancarlo Esposito as Stan Edgar. Aya Cash as Stormfront. And that is it. Actually it was, Anthony Starr as Homelander. His performance was legendary and will be remembered for a very long time. And he did the role so well, in the event of a remake, or another edition, or whatever you call it, whatever actor has to take up the mantle will have a very hard time. They simply cannot lift up his Mjolnir. I saw some people talking about this online, and they said that this version of Homelander is so good in terms of acting gravity that it is on par with Heath Ledger's Joker. Now, I'm not saying the acting and the social relevance and the cultural impact is the same. I really hope I can convey what I'm trying to tell you. I'm saying he did such a good job that everyone who will try to do so or emulate in the future, it's almost impossible. Like, you will just feel flat. And I can see that. Good on him. Legit, I really wanted to quit watching the show after a few seasons, and after realizing I would no longer be seeing Homelander's character or what happens to him, I said, you know what, now I have to watch the show. And I really am watching it just because of Anthony Starr. Also, his name is Antony Starr. Antony Starr, not Anthony, which I see millions of other YouTube review channels keep referring to him as, and it's really annoying. Though I'm really not one to talk, since in my last video I misread the name of the director of Obsession. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out whenever you want, or not. Okay, so moving on to the negative. First and foremost, the writing is bad, and it gets worse with every season, as mentioned earlier. This is most evident in the last season, and more specifically the series finale. Because of this, we have so many loose ends that disrespect both the characters and actors, but the audience as well. They are as follows. First up, Gen Z got wiped like a piece of toilet paper on my ass. I know that show would not do so well, so I actually skipped season 2 and caught the highlights, and I was right. It didn't do so well, and the characters were tossed aside like nothing. What's more so is that the characters in the show, at least one of them, Marie Monroe if I'm not mistaken, was hyped up to be the only superhero just as strong, if not potentially stronger, as Homelander, with extreme powers such as blood manipulation, could take the V out of someone's blood without a radiation blast. On top of that, could heal people from the dead. And she was not used at all and pushed aside. They actually shoehorned that writing. I could only imagine in the writing room, they actually said, look, we're not going to do this. We just have to have some random conversation between her and Starlight and be like, yo, get the hell out of my face. Absolutely disgraced, messed up to the characters and actors themselves. Next up, Sister Sage along with Edgar to be puppet masters but was sidelined. There's so many loose ends to tie up here, specifically since Vought as the company as a whole though with a severely bruised reputation, is still around and has billions of dollars to work with. And guess what? They still own a portion of the White House through the most part. Maybe not directly anymore, given the fact that there's no more like superseding president like Homelander. Because of this, Edgar could easily step in. As he mentioned, he would want to run the company again, but this time run it better with more controllable soups. This leaves so much room for questions and answers we'll likely never get. His character was awesome. Even though I do not like too much DEI hiring or gender or race swaps in media, this one was spot on. He did it well. Sister Sage, on the other hand, does not exist in the comics and is an adaptation of one of the characters in the comics who's closely associated with Stan Edgar, who is white in the comics. She is quoted as being the smartest person in the world, yet fails to see such obvious plot points that thwart her plan of just being left alone, which she was already doing when she met Homelander. He even gave her a choice, an option she could have denied, but no. She decided to harm and get revenge on innocent people for the wrongful death of her grandmother. And of course she can mourn, she's allowed to do that. It's a horrible thing, but it's such an odd character choice. It doesn't make sense for someone who's so smart, but then again, emotions really do trump logic in a lot of instances. Humans are very unpredictable for that matter. Moving forward, we all know that Eric Kripke has Trump derangement syndrome, in which he wanted the show to make fun of Republicans and Donald Trump as often as possible, and so casting a black woman to have one of the best superpowers in the world was a way to stick it to the people who he imagines in his little brain as racist. Now, newsflash, most people on planet Earth have reservations on people of other races and backgrounds, but hey, guess what? Kripke in Hollywood, almost no one is openly racist, spiteful, hateful, or violent to others in the way that they imagine. It is ridiculous, and it's time for someone to say it out loud. So fine, he wants the smartest character in the world to be a black woman. That's fine, but why go ahead and do the actress and the character of all things such a disservice by writing them so poorly? She even gets a so-so happy ending by being depowered and acting like a complete goofball and enjoying the rest of her free time in Orlando, which is kind of adorable actually. Shout out to Orlando. Frenchie and Kimiko sucks. I hate them and skip them often. His death was nothing to me, but honestly his off-screen quick death is pitiful. Even though he didn't matter to me as a character, the fact that they killed him in that way, even though he was such an integral part of the boys themselves, is actually pretty stupid. I really don't know why they didn't do that. It should have been something intense. We should have actually seen him. What really revived his character in that particular instance is the fact that he said, "I bet you'd never dance a day in your life," which is honestly pretty poetic, and that was really good. But for the most part, everything else was genuinely ridiculous, and I genuinely didn't like either of them. No one likes the actor too, Tomer Capone, for his association with the IDF in another country called Trash Reel, but I'm sure you guys know what I mean. On top of that, their relationship makes no sense. It was so often the will they, won't they hookup deal. Meanwhile, his character was off playing butt pirate with other dudes while a beautiful woman who openly expresses love for him was waiting. One more thing about his character that makes no sense, period. I get the show's trying to be edgy, and that's the base material in which it's set on, so I should not be so critical here, but if you have ever studied chemistry, engineering, biology, then you must know how difficult a field that is and how mentally taxing it is. Now, you mean to tell me that a French bisexual drug addict can be all those things proficiently? Hell no. That took me out of the show so often, especially when he took a hit of a drug like acid, then started building things in the hideout, which is just so dumb. I mean, why don't you go ahead, take a hit of Molly and acid together, and build me a virus that can be transmitted through the air? Yeah, right, fuck that. The sex jokes, the edginess, the ball gags, she-line, all gross, all overdone, and really annoying, and should have been sidelined for such a series-ending finale. It honestly was just so ridiculous. And then moving on, I'm just going through these kind of like fast bullet point type deals. Ashley had no want to be good. In earlier seasons, we can kind of see that she knows the difference between right and wrong, but her desire of wanting to be valued and have a good job totally overshowered her moral compass to the point where she became used and perhaps even numb to all the greed and corruption. It just became an everyday thing for her. What kind of makes sense is that maybe she finally saw that Homelander is just way too mentally unstable, and because of that, no matter how she served him, he could just wake up one day and decide, hey, I'm going to kill her for absolutely no reason. So to me, that kind of seems like the move, like what they were doing, but they really could have given her a more meaningful redemption arc. Leading up to Kimiko being the one to depower Homelander, that made very little sense. It is there are meanings for it, but it really made no sense. The whole plot of them trying to give her these powers via radiation, similar to the way Soldier Boy got them, is just so desperate. Fitting, but desperate. It makes sense, don't get me wrong, but Soldier Boy was set up so much more to be the reason that wanted to depower Homelander than she did. He openly disliked Homelander. he is a bit of a show-off and he kind of wants to be the face of everything. It's mentioned many times in earlier seasons, he's the big boss, he wants to be the one on top, and so he really didn't like Homelander from start to finish. Now the final fight is shit compared to what was alluded to, and even though the large finale of Scorched Earth is not done so in the comics, it would have been very nice to see, especially since they alluded to it. It's odd that Amazon, the trillion-dollar company that it is, would not put more money into such a serious IP. It would have been the talk of the town for a long time instead of the joke that it turned out to be. I think Eric Kripke should not be taken too seriously in writing in Hollywood anymore, especially since he could not even do what he set out to do. Since everyone loved Homelander's character, his main goal was to make fun of Republicans and right-leaning policies, and that we should hate people who are segregating and this and that and this and that. Even though everyone loved him, like his ability to be popular on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the edits made of Homelander's characters and the policies he's put out was so favored by the general public that he must be like shitting himself and crying in his sleep to realize like the character I tried to make fun of and say, see everyone, he's a loser, I'm the cool guy. Everyone, it's literally the opposite. You're a loser, he's awesome, his character, everything he stood for up until his insanity was pretty reasonably favored by the general public, so it was actually really ridiculous. Now this channel is not political in any way, even though you say that to a Democrat and it goes out one ear, not the other. If you don't literally do everything they say the Republicans right-leaning are fascists, but if you don't do every little thing by the book, by the letter of what a Democrat or left-leaning person wants, you are a demon and a devil and they out you no matter what. It's actually so embarrassingly ridiculous how they have, and it is true, it's Trump derangement syndrome, and I'm not a fan of Trump, I'm not a fan of any politician at all. I think all of them are just garbage. It's just ridiculous the way they think and act, and they like to think that like, oh, like we're on the right side of history, when in reality it's like, it's all bad. I can go on about why this show sucks. I don't want to make this video too crazy long, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Did you like it? If you remember, the first thing I said at the beginning of this video is it was okay. Like, it was okay. I don't think it deserved a theatrical release. I thought that was really weird that they released this in theaters. I don't know who the hell would pay to see something like this, even though it was so led up to it being very average, and I would never have paid a ticket for that. That's absolutely crazy, especially if you already have streaming services at home and you just could have seen it. I know they might have released it earlier, but for the most part, let me know what you guys think, and honestly tell me. Like, don't just be like, yeah, it was trash, it was garbage. I know a lot of like YouTube videos and thumbnails and headlines are gonna say like, in order to get clicks and views, they're gonna say like, this is the most disgusting season ever, this is the biggest letdown ever, it was horrible, oh my god, it offended me. But really, it was just okay. But that's the problem, because it promised so much more, and I don't know, it just really rubbed me neutrally. Like, it was just neutral, you know what I mean? Nothing happened, it wasn't great, it wasn't horrible, just okay. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. That's going to be it for the video today. I really appreciate you guys watching. Take a look at my other videos if you're interested, and subscribe if you want more content like this. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out!